Room 237 is a JumperScape audio production. You're a long way from home, stranger. But you are not alone. Join us in Room 237.
Hello and welcome back into Room 237. It is spooky month still.
Yay! Spooky month.
Spooky month. What are we doing?
We are watching Halloween.
1978
Yes.
by John Carpenter. Produced by Deborah Hill. Starring Jamie Lee Curtis.
And I'm James.
And I'm Ashton.
Yeah. Just so you know.
So we have a guest today. This is Chummy. You've seen her before. There she goes. Or maybe not.
All right. Well.
There we go.
Okay.
I was waiting for the sit. So this is the undisputed classic of Halloween movies, of course.
Mm.
And it is quite a beast to tackle. The movie itself, very simple.
Yes.
Its importance to horror, very much not simple.
Not
very
simple at all.
complex and important.
Yes.
So this is one of those movies that I feel like everyone should see. But if you haven't, essentially, it's Halloween night, 1978, in small town Haddonfield, Illinois. And a man by the name of Michael Meyers escapes a sanatorium, and he goes back to his hometown where he killed his sister, planning to kill again. That's pretty much it.
That is much better than the synopsis that was on Shudder.
Yeah, the synopsis on Shudder was all over the place.
It really said this kid killed his sister, and
It gave the exact address.
yeah, and then no one knows what he's up to, and no one wants to. Uh-oh.
So this movie is obviously very famous and very important. And so in typical us fashion, we're just not going to treat it that way when we talk about it because it just puts unnecessary pressure. So I'm just going to get right into the movie,
All right.
honestly. It opens up with the famous score
Yes.
playing, and it does the very old school credit sequence where it just goes through the entire cast and crew with the main title playing, and there's a very nice little pumpkin on the side that you zoom in on. And
Pumpkin.
so that is iconic forever and always.
Yes.
But we then are in Halloween of 1963. Yeah, 1963.
Yeah, because it's 15 years.
So we are following through somebody's eyes.
Yeah.
And
Somebody short.
somebody short. Funny enough, we get shots of this person's hand, like grabbing things. And fun fact, that was Deborah Hill's hand.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi, Deborah.
But see him pick up a little clown mask, and he
A knife.
follows this couple that they go upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
have the shortest sex of all time.
Dude did not last very long whatsoever.
No, literally, it's hilarious because it's Michael's outside, sees them go upstairs from outside. In the time it takes him to walk inside
And grab
his
a knife.
mask and a knife, the boyfriend's already on his way out the door.
He's like, oh, that was great. Oh, let's see you next time.
And
And you're like,
what? And you're thinking, okay, maybe they just went upstairs and kissed a little more. But no, she has all of her clothes off when he gets up there.
right.
And So yeah, Michael stabs her to death. It's so weird. This movie, talking about this movie chronologically feels so weird to me because I feel like this movie's like above that. It's very famous. Everyone knows what happens in Halloween, I feel like.
Whatever.
But maybe that's me living in my horror movie bubble.
No, apparently everybody, and I mean everybody's seen Halloween. My mom is not a horror fan. She doesn't listen very often. And I went, oh, we're watching Halloween this week. And she starts singing the Halloween ad song from Halloween 3. And I was like, huh? So apparently
Big deal.
my mother has seen Halloween 3. It's a big deal. It is a big deal.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, okay, you're watching whatever. I don't care. She doesn't watch horror movies. What? Did she just pulls out Halloween 3 out of nowhere?
Which is like the most random movie to have seen.
So obscure. It was not even that. It was a song from Halloween 3. Like the most obscure reference I feel like you could make when someone says, oh, we're watching Halloween. Like,
yeah, pretty much. But that movie's gotten a second life recently. A lot of people have reevaluated Halloween 3, and that makes me happy.
Somehow she knows about it.
So, yeah, he kills his sister. And see, the thing is, when this movie came out, and, you know, he walks outside, and there's these two adults that pull up, and they're clearly way bigger, and they're like, Michael, what are you doing? And then, like, take the mask off, and it's revealed that it's a child.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Because seeing a child kill somebody is not very common in the 70s.
No.
It's honestly still not very common.
No.
So this shot is so weird because like they pull off his mask and stand there and he's standing there with the knife and it's like pretty haunting. But then the shot pulls away and they just stay freeze framed like that, but they're clearly still like in motion. So it's not like a literal freeze frame.
Yeah.
And they just stand there like,
yeah,
staring at Michael, like,
yeah.
And
obviously, this man has not done that much live theater.
I mean, yeah, but this is
you have to master the.
Well, like I said, they weren't supposed to actually be frozen.
Oh,
that's not a free. It's not a literal freeze frame. That's just they are awkwardly standing there.
I always take this moment. I think I stole this from Dead Meat, so I don't know, but I like to take this moment to go, hi, I bet you're wondering what's happening here. That kid, that's me. My name's Michael.
Because it does feel like a freeze frame moment. Like
yeah.
Oh, that's me. Bob O'Reilly. But yeah, we flash forward to the present, which is 1978. Yep. And we are introduced to Laurie and her band of friends. There's Laurie, who's played by Jamie Lee Curtis. Then there's Annie, who's played by Nancy Loomis. And then
nice
PJ
name.
Souls plays Totally Girl. I'm blanking on her name. She says totally an obscene amount of times.
A lot of times.
So that's your main batch of victims, I guess. Because a big theme of this is you hardly, if ever, see any parents.
I counted 4 times I saw parents.
Are you counting Sheriff Brackett?
Yes.
How many if you take him out?
3.
Okay. 4 different parents then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was counting him once from when they pulled up to him. So
that kind of leans into the themes of this movie because this movie definitely plays with I don't even know if it's on purpose, but the whole latchkey kid generation.
Yeah.
Of here's all these kids that are being raised by babysitters, essentially.
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
I don't.
James, we don't have any kids.
Shh.
Oh, okay.
But so a lot of this movie is just spent getting to know them and all that stuff. But meanwhile, on the other side of the state, Michael Myers escapes from his asylum, which the name of it escapes me and is not really important. Smith's Grove.
Yeah.
And so he is on his way home, and he's being chased by Dr. Loomis, who's being played by Donald Pleasance, and he is the only person in this movie that was probably an actor, like, you know.
Yeah.
Very, very talented man, and this is his most famous role, which is kind of wild.
Wow.
But so Dr. Loomis is like one of my favorite horror characters, because he just progressively throughout the original Halloween continuity just gets crazier and crazier. Because he's just, you know, constantly chasing Michael around. But in this essence, he essentially knows that Michael is not just your run-of-the-mill crazy guy.
Yeah.
He essentially believes Michael to be the embodiment of evil. And I think when this movie came out, it was originally supposed to be ambiguous if he was right or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and maybe Michael was just sick.
Mm-hmm.
But that's definitely the case going by every other continuity you can go. Michael does not have a shred of humanity inside of him.
Mm-hmm.
He is essentially a human shell of blackness.
Mm-hmm.
But
see, I don't like that.
That's your opinion. I fully disagree.
I just feel like
you have plenty of movies where there's a nuance, maybe good side of the villain, like
any person. I don't think that evil is just like there. Like, evil doesn't just like exist for no reason.
You see, Michael Myers would be a whole lot more unique if Friday the 13th didn't completely rip off every one of his character traits.
Yeah, except for Jason kind of has a reason.
Well, yeah, Jason is...
And Mrs. Voorhees has a reason.
Yes, Jason, that's what I like about Michael, though, is you don't know what is going on in his head. There's literally no motivation. There's no drive. He just goes. He is on a track. You know, like, he is basically a man possessed to kill people.
Yeah, I don't believe that evil just exists. I believe that evil is created.
I disagree. I think evil could exist, just exist. And the thing is, a lot of different Halloween continuities try to explain why Michael's the way he is, and it always makes it less effective. Because that's what scared people about this movie. When it came out, why it was so effective was it kind of tore down this idea of the safe suburb, you know? It made people, like, lock their doors at night. Like, it, like, just the idea of, so there could be someone who just kills with no thought, feeling, emotion, or even motivation. Like, this movie, like, was effective for that reason, because it was such a new and scary idea. Because that's what the mask even represents, is he looks just like a hollow human shell.
Yeah.
You know, because that's all he is he is just he's shaped like a human. He has a human body, but is he a human? If you go by some continuities, no, he's not, because he survives, obviously, way more than a human ever could. He's basically invincible. The Shape. He is the Shape, which is so much better of a name.
I like the Shape.
The Shape is scary.
The Shape is scary.
Because, that's a more accurate description to what he is. He's the Shape.
And the Shape also, I think, okay, let me re-explain myself. I don't think that evil just exists in people. It's created in people. So if you're calling him the Shape, that gives him like a supernatural like feeling. And I feel like if it's supernatural, then like, yeah, evil there are supernatural powers that are just evil.
Well, it's not. The thing is, you can even argue in this movie, it's shown Michael Myers is a supernatural villain.
Mm-hmm.
It's debatable on if that was the intention or if that's the result of this movie, because obviously at the very end, he gets shot multiple times, falls off a balcony and gets right back up and disappears.
Yeah.
And I think personally, I don't know what John Carpenter has to say about it. Personally, that to me is a reveal that he's more than just a man and Loomis was right, you know, because Loomis is already convinced that he has so many monologues in this movie that are so good.
Yeah.
Because when he talks about Michael, like when I met this 6-year-old child with a blank, pale, expressionless face. In his eyes, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I'm always like, ooh. Like you said, he spent 7 years trying to reach him and another 8 trying to keep him locked away.
Yeah.
So it's like he gave Michael 7 years to show any ounce of being a person.
Yeah.
And in that time, it just never happened.
Yeah. I also feel like the fact that, like throughout the score and throughout when you see stuff from John Carpenter about like Michael, he's called the Shape. I feel like that gives me the vibe that the plan was it's a supernatural entity. It's a shape.
Yes.
It's a thing.
Because, I mean, it ultimately, like, he's not presented as supernatural throughout until the end of the movie, I would say. Because that's the thing. He didn't just survive 6 gunshots. He also survived getting stabbed in the neck twice.
Yeah.
And the eye.
Yeah.
And the chest.
Yeah.
And he showed no signs of it really even...
To be fair,
he fell over like a couple times.
Laurie didn't land those very hard either.
I mean, enough for him to collapse.
Yeah. She kind of went every time.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we'll get more into this as we go on with the series next week. But I think the direction that works best for Michael is as ambiguous as possible. And I think this is the only movie, and I would say maybe Halloween 2018, that does that correctly. Oh, Chum.
She's knocking things over. You're destroying our set, Chummy.
She is the set now.
It's just like, I'm replacing the set, actually. Do you want to come over here? Is that your plan?
She's figuring it out.
Thinking?
Oh.
Nope, we're down.
But yeah. Where were we in the actual plot? I forget.
Not very far.
Not very far. So Michael escapes, and Laurie's hanging out with her friends.
Yeah.
But Michael, of course, goes back to Haddonfield.
Yes.
So a lot of this movie is essentially following Laurie and her friends throughout their day, like going to school, being in school, leaving school.
There's a lesson going on about fate, which is definitely supposed to mean something.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you could argue it's a foreshadow into the sequel, the original Halloween 2, where it's revealed that Laurie is Michael's brother. I mean, Michael is Laurie's brother.
Laurie's a man?
Yeah. And maybe it's like, this is always the fate, which...
I was wondering how that worked out, because I remember... And I would like to preface this statement with, I have only seen Halloween, the original. I have not seen any other Halloween movies. I know about the ad song from the third one because it's on his Halloween playlist, and I love it. Anyway, I remember like when I was a kid and people would talk about Halloween and Michael Myers, like they would say like Laurie was his sister, and then I watched this movie and I'm like, Laurie's not his sister. His sister's dead.
You see, the story, the actual behind the scenes of that is John Carpenter did not want to write Halloween 2. At least he didn't want to do it as a Michael Myers movie. He did not want to make that movie. Halloween 2 was made in 1981, and it takes place immediately after Halloween.
Oh.
And it's the rest of the night, essentially.
Oh.
And I like it. I actually do like it. But the writing is definitely bad. Because he was drunk writing it the entire time. He had to slam a 6-pack to get himself to write. And
felt that.
he was like, yeah, Laurie's sister. And it's the scene where it's revealed feels much like that as well. Sheriff Brackett is with Dr. Loomis, and he's like, oh, of course. He's like, well, when the original crime happened, there was a child, and she's given up for adoption, and it's Laurie.
Oh my God.
I actually forget exactly how Laurie ended up not having her, birth parents anymore in the original continuity. I know in the Rob Zombie movies, there's a stepdad situation and mom kills herself after Michael's crimes, so the baby's an orphan, and that's how Laurie is adopted. But in this, I kind of forget. I kind of forget.
I could see if I were writing it, because her parents are so ambiguous in the first one, and we know she has a dad. Yeah,
she is adopted. Her last name is different. It's not the same parents.
Oh yeah. She has a dad, but they have some connection to the Myers because she was supposed to leave the key under the Myers mat.
Yes,
and
he's a realtor.
Yeah,
so he's selling the Myers house.
Oh, well. I was gonna be like,
if you know where your daughter came from, would you send her to that house? I mean, granted, he has no reason to believe there'd be any actual danger, but that's where Michael originally sees her because that's where he goes first, as he goes to his house.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. This is all. None of this was thought of when the movie was made.
Right. I don't hate it. I think it's funny. I like that clip of Jamie Lee Curtis going, Michael!
And the thing is, Halloween, for the longest time, ran with that continuity. Halloween 2 was always part of any new continuity they would make within the original film. So Laurie was always Michael's sister. That was always a fact.
Yeah.
Until the Blumhouse movies, where they only took the first movie in their continuity. So Laurie is not related to Michael in any way. In fact, there's a funny line where they're like, didn't that dude who murdered all those babysitters, wasn't that her brother or something? It was that's just something someone made up.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, we'll get there. We're going to be watching it very soon. Honestly, we have a week. We should probably watch it tonight. But so, yeah, Michael just kind of follows them about their day, being Michael. Which
there's a point in which the first time he appears to be watching her, he's standing there behind her as she's walking away and she's singing some song, and I'm like, were people just less worried in the 70s or something? I would feel somebody if they were staring at me like that, and I would have been like,
excuse you?
I'm sorry, is there a problem? And then he wouldn't respond, and then I'd run.
You're not much of a Laurie Strode, I guess. You're more of an Annie. But she literally does that. She's like, hey, creep, speed kills. Later.
I mean, yeah, but she doesn't run.
No.
I have more sense
Michael
than that.
doesn't approach.
I would run.
But I think my favorite of the daytime like scenes is I love the scene of Laurie in the classroom and she looks outside and Michael's just. And then like she looks away for 1 second and then he's just gone. Like it's basically that over and over in different circumstances.
Basically, yeah.
We also meet Tommy Doyle, who's the kid that she babysits.
He's cute.
Poor kid. He's getting bullied. His pumpkin gets smashed.
Yeah.
Lonnie. We'll meet Lonnie again.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'll say, and the last thing I'll say about the Blumhouse movies, because we're going to be covering those next week. I love how it takes a lot of these random Haddonfield residents from this movie and brings them back, even though most of them are just kind of there.
Yeah.
Like Tommy Doyle and Lonnie. It's even
Tommy's
Sheriff Brackett.
Important. Tommy's important.
Yeah, but he still only returns in one movie in the entire.
I thought you were talking about this
He's played
movie.
by Paul Rudd in Halloween 6.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's amazing.
And he's like weird. He's like a weirdo.
Yeah, no shit.
But
Paul Rudd is playing him. He's a hot weirdo.
He's a weirdo in Halloween Kills too. Like he's a. Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there.
He's a weirdo. Yeah, no shit. Paul Rudd is playing him, so that makes him, in fact, a hot weirdo character.
Yeah, that's fair. He's much more of a Midwest, Republican dad in Halloween Kills.
Oh,
that's how I would describe him. He's bald.
Ugh.
He's all like, "Evil dies tonight." Like, yeah, I love Halloween Kills. I don't care what anyone says. It's a terrible movie, but it's great. That we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah,
I have a lot of.
you.
Here's the thing. My opinions on Halloween 1978 are: it's a masterpiece of horror, and it was made on $5, and that makes it amazing. I have much more to say about the Blumhouse movies because what a ride.
Well, I think it's kind of funny because we've been talking about this the whole time. It was filmed in Southern California, and if you're a good eye like me, you can catch palm trees in like half of the shots.
Now, it's not as bad as A Nightmare on Elm Street,
yeah,
where they're pretending that this is in Springfield, Ohio.
Oh my God. Is that who's eating the dogs and the cats?
Springwood. It's called Springwood.
Darn it.
They're pretending this is in a town called Springwood, Ohio. And at the funeral, there's these big grand palm trees.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, at least they try to hide them in this movie.
Yeah, the camera glimpses only 2 that are actually like close to the shot.
Because all in all, this movie, here's the thing. If you're looking for it, you're going to notice it.
Right.
But like when I remember seeing this as a teenager, like, and always thinking it felt so much like a Midwest Halloween.
No, it does.
And it still does.
It's because, and I think what helps the effect nowadays is that the leaves don't turn as early because it doesn't get cold as early. And
usually by Halloween, they are still.
Yeah, but
at least
we were still
turned.
green until like a week or 2 ago.
I know.
So, and then there are leaves on the ground, and it was rainy.
Yeah,
it was like
wetness.
There was wetness on the ground, and a little bit of clouds hanging in the air.
And they had bags upon bags upon bags of dead leaves that they would just strewn about the streets.
Yeah, you can tell specifically in that scene with the bullying in the schoolyard because there's just a circle of leaves on the ground.
Yeah.
There are leaves nowhere else, just a circle of leaves.
But it works.
No,
but
it definitely works.
Also, that's another reason that the pumpkins look kind of weird in this movie because they're out of season.
Weird. Oh yeah. They do look weird.
So I'm not sure if they were artificial or if they just were out of season, so they looked funny. But that is the reason they look funny.
The only pumpkin that doesn't look funny is the
beginning pumpkin because they probably just did that when they were in season.
Yeah,
this was probably one of the last things they did.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of it is impressive how they make it feel like a Midwest Halloween.
Well, because like without me catching those glimpses of palm trees, which you can tell they're very intentionally trying to keep them out of the shot. You don't even notice.
Yeah.
Because it feels like Halloween. Plus you're inside for a good amount of the movie too, so they don't have to worry about it that much.
Yeah. But and also like a lot of it takes place at night too. And speaking of night, we'll just skip to night. Why not? So Annie and Laurie are both babysitters, and they're babysitting kids that are across the street from each other.
Yeah.
It's Tommy Doyle and Lindsay Wallace.
Yeah.
And Lindsay Wallace also comes back in the Blumhouse movies. Like, I don't know. It's just made it. I like when they make Haddonfield feel like an actual small town where people know each other and stuff.
Right.
Because that doesn't really happen in the original sequels.
That sucks because the atmosphere of the town is very well established in this first film. Like, she runs into the sheriff all the time. You know, they're driving, but it doesn't seem like they're driving pretty far, and they could probably walk just about anywhere. Like, they're not so worried about people being around. And in fact, when they see the car that Michael's driving, they say, hey, isn't that so-and-so's car? Like, they recognize who everybody is. Everybody knows each other. You know, it's not like...
Yeah.
So they establish it as a small town very well in this first film. Yeah.
Ben Tramer. Oh, you don't even know about Ben Tramer's death.
Ben Tramer's dead?
He dies in Halloween 2.
That's funny.
He's dressed in a Michael Myers costume, unknowingly know it's a Michael Myers costume, and in this randomly out of place, super over the top moment, he gets run over by a police car into a truck and it explodes.
Oh my god! Okay,
it's so good.
So like, he was going as William Shatner for Halloween.
I guess. Well, they try to sell the mask as like just a Halloween mask, so it's probably just like supposed to be a scary mask, I guess. By the way, fun fact, it's a William Shatner mask that they painted white.
Yeah.
And dyed the hair brown. I just wanted to be like every other anything about Halloween and make sure I say that.
William Shatner.
So
you should listen to his Christmas album. It's funny.
That sounds incredible.
He doesn't sing. He just like reads. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Sorry. Every time someone brings up William Shatner, I gotta bring up the Christmas album.
Did you know he has a Christmas album? It's not Christmas yet. We're not done with Spooky Month.
We are not done with Spooky Month.
So yeah, they're babysitting. Like, that's the thing. It's so hard to talk about this movie because basically Michael just does things while they babysit.
Yeah.
Like stare at them through windows and
yeah. We get to see a little bit of like Tommy being scared of the boogeyman.
Yeah.
He sees him outside.
He calls him the boogeyman. And I think that's an apt description of what he is supposed to be.
No,
he is
I actually think it's
boogeyman.
really good because he does just kind of appear and disappear and like scare you.
Exactly. And I mean, at the very end of the movie, like Laurie asks, was it the boogeyman? And then Loomis says, as a matter of fact, it was.
Yeah.
Because he is the boogeyman. The boogeyman is such a funny thing, like a funny thing to scare kids with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just remember as a kid, my dad would always say,
of course your dad
the
would.
boogeyman is going to get you, like to scare me. And he's going to come out, he's going to go, "Bah!" Like that's the sound the boogeyman makes apparently. And I just remember always wondering what the boogeyman looks like. I just pictured like a goopy monster, like literally boogie man.
Yeah, I always did too. And then Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie Boogie totally threw me off.
Oh, because he's
the boogeyman. That's who Oogie Boogie is.
See, this is confusing. But that's the whole point of the term of boogeyman is it can be anything.
It's whatever.
It's a label for it's an
scaring
other,
your kids.
you know,
it is a title for the monster you scare your kids with.
And I would say Michael is a perfect boogeyman.
Yeah, he is.
And like, that's the thing. I always, as a kid, be like, is there a movie about the boogeyman? And my dad would say no, but he was wrong, because Halloween is definitely about the boogeyman.
That's
because the
definitely
boogeyman
he is the
is
boogeyman.
Michael Myers.
So, in fact, if you want to scare your children with the boogeyman story, show them Halloween. Don't show them Halloween.
Oh, Michael kills his first dog in this movie, of many.
What?
Michael hates dogs.
Oh.
It's like a running gag that he kills dogs.
Oh.
It gets worse.
Oh.
Literally, the cutest dog I've ever seen on screen is this golden retriever in Halloween 4. And Michael kills him. Off screen. I think it was off screen. It might have not been off screen. He kills dogs.
I don't like that.
And he eats them. That's shown in this movie. Don't you remember?
No.
Remember they go, Sheriff Brackett and Dr. Loomis go to his house, go to Michael's house, and oh my God, are you crying?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh no. But yeah, they go to his house and like they don't show it. It was like, ooh, what is that? Is that a dog? And he was like, he got hungry.
Oh. I didn't put two and two together.
Oh
You
God.
just put two and two together for me.
Okay, I'm gonna move on because she's actually crying.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm sorry.
It's a week, okay? It's that kind of week, okay? Nothing more is to be said.
So anyway, Michael, I don't know what to do now. Oh yeah, so Annie's like, Laurie, can you watch Lindsay? I need to go hook up with my boyfriend. And Laurie, being the saint she is like, okay. Like, so Lindsay ends up at
It was probably a better idea anyway.
I mean, yeah.
Laurie's
ended up
actually
being for the best.
babysitting.
So, but as Annie's going to her car singing her little ditties about Paul,
Yeah.
she gets strangled and then stabbed by Michael Myers. And I love this scare because she gets into the, like, the thing is, like, Michael's been getting closer and closer to Annie every
Right.
time, like, that we see him.
Yeah.
And she gets into the car and the glass is all fogged up.
And
And she's like,
huh?
starts, and then suddenly jump scare sound. He pops out of the back seat and just starts going as he like strangles her.
Yeah.
Get ready to listen to a lot of heavy breathing. So Annie's gone, unfortunately, but just in time for Totally to show up with her
Yeah.
boyfriend.
Totally's boyfriend.
Totally's boyfriend. God, we are both terrible with character names.
I'm just so bad at names in general.
Yeah, so like, you know, that's what the show's about though. We literally just watch the movie and we come down and we talk about it.
Yep,
Okay.
it's so true.
Sometimes we have a cast and character list, sometimes we don't. That's
Today
just how it is.
I didn't, because I figured he's an encyclopedia on this stuff. So
Yeah, and I'm forgetting. PJ Souls is the actress name,
yeah, and you remember that.
Yeah. but I just call her Totally.
Totally.
It's gonna bother me. It'll come to me.
It'll come to you eventually.
And they are the worst, especially Totally's boyfriend, because they're in the car and he says some really creepy remark about Lindsay and like tearing.
Oh my
her clothes
God!
off.
Yes. She says, okay, so the plan is, we're gonna sneak by Lindsay and go upstairs and go to this bedroom. And he says, okay, so the plan is, I tear your clothes off, you tear my clothes off, we tear Lindsay's clothes off, and she's just like, you're so funny. And I'm like,
She's like, this blouse is expensive.
I'm like, did he just say he's gonna rip a child's clothes off?
And the way they talk is so weird. Like, I know it's the 70s and people just talk different,
Yeah.
but like Laurie calls and says, hey, well, whenever Annie gets there, just tell her to let me know when I should put Lindsay to bed.
Yeah.
And like they hang up and she's like, Lindsay's gone for the night. And like he just goes, oh, wow, that's wonderful. That's such
checks,
a weird
though.
way to put it.
It checks, though.
I know, it's just so
It totally
weird.
checks. Like, that's definitely how they must have spoken in the 70s. Because, like, I think of everybody I know who would have been, like, a teenager in the 70s.
And they talk like
And
that
they
now.
talk like that now.
I think that's why, is because my brain thinks as people age, they adopt old people slang and they didn't just speak like that forever.
Right.
But I guess not.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's a couple moments like that with these characters specifically where they're talking about like sex and they're like, oh, that's just fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird.
Because it sounds like old people talk. But,
exactly.
But no.
Next thing you know, he's going to say, all right, then we'll go get supper.
Yeah.
Oh, supper.
Supper.
My grandpa always called it supper.
My grandma calls it supper.
It's, you know what? We should bring supper back.
Okay.
Let's bring supper back.
We're bringing supper back.
I can't wait for the first time either of us attempt to say, do you guys want to go get supper? And just seeing how people react. Okay, we're going to do this now.
Time.
It's supper time. So yeah, they go and, you know, have sex in some stranger's bed, which I wouldn't. I'd feel weird.
Yeah.
I'd feel weird.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they're stealing their beer and smoking in their bed too. So, or at least planning to steal their beer.
Yeah.
Because after yet another very short session of sex, about 30 seconds.
Yep.
You know, and then they're all, oh yeah, that was great. Yeah. They Totally's boyfriend is like gonna go get beer.
Yeah.
And I love this scene when he gets down, he hears like vague noises. And he's like, Annie, is that you? Like, and he's like, all right, come out of there. And then just Michael pops out of the closet. And we get probably the most iconic kill in the whole franchise. Michael lifts him up.
Yeah.
And stabs him and it sticks him to the wall.
Yeah, it's cool.
Now, that math doesn't check out.
Nope.
But it's still really cool.
It looks really cool. Definitely could not happen though.
No. Not even possibly possible. There's sounds upstairs. We're trying to dissect. I think the cat did something funny.
Stuff.
God, where was I? Oh yeah, so yeah, he's dead. And honestly, what I still think holds up as one of the spookiest scenes in the movie, the door opens and it's Michael, but he's wearing a bed sheet with
it's cool.
The boyfriend's glasses over him. And he just, the way he stands there and you just hear the breathing.
Yeah.
And he's just not moving. And she keeps talking to him, keeps saying, where's my beer? And just
I'm just so ready for him to just go.
And that happens in the remake.
Because here's the thing, he might be soulless, but I think Michael has a sense of humor.
Yeah, he does. I think he does a little bit. I don't think it shows as much in this movie, but he definitely does have a little bit of a sense of humor that occasionally rears its head.
Yeah.
And that could have been one of the moments.
Yeah. But
I thought maybe you'd start talking.
my brain is not working right. But yeah, she keeps talking to him and she's like, why are you just standing there and being so weird? Stuff like that. And then James, I need help here.
Sorry, I was trying to find the scene of Michael getting the beer.
Oh.
But she's like full nude in that scene, so it's probably not going to be on YouTube.
Oh.
But yeah, so Michael
she shows him her boobs, try to get him back in bed.
And she turns around, she's like, "This is going nowhere." And it's like, didn't y'all already fuck? So I don't know.
She
if
was
it went
ready for
nowhere.
round 2. I mean, considering he only lasted 30 seconds,
I'm saying it still went
also
somewhere. Okay, like, but she calls Laurie and immediately starts getting strangled, and it leads to the obvious misunderstanding of it sounding like sex.
Yeah.
So Laurie's like, thinks it's Annie, and is like, "Oh, first I get your famous chewing, now I get your famous squealing."
Yeah.
And it's still an ominous moment, and it makes Laurie decide to go check it out.
Yeah.
Because she's like, "Huh, that was kind of weird."
It's weird that she didn't call her back right afterwards and tell her.
Meanwhile, during all of this, Laurie's just being like the best babysitter I've ever seen.
Literally the best babysitter.
Like, she's carving jack-o'-lanterns with the kids, making them popcorn, watching movies. Like,
wearing an apron.
There's still sounds upstairs.
Something fell.
But so she goes across the street, and Michael has already set up like a little house of horrors in there for her to find.
For real.
Because she first finds Annie's body splayed out on a bed with Judith Meyers' headstone above her.
How strong is he?
Very strong.
Because he pulled that thing out of the ground.
He's a very strong individual.
Jesus.
He can crush a head with his hands, so yeah, he's pretty strong.
Yeah.
And then a closet opens, and it's just totally in there, just like and
her boyfriend's swinging.
Her boyfriend swings from another doorway. And then this is another scene that really holds up, and it's just Laurie's backed up against a black hallway, like obviously
it's so
freaking out.
Creepy.
And you just see Michael's pale face barely come out of the darkness.
And you get the sting.
And then yeah. And then he misses.
Yeah.
He goes for the stab and gets her shirt.
Yeah.
Probably gets her on the arm a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
just a little bit.
she falls down not just down the stairs, she falls down the whole balcony.
Yeah.
And that's when I love the chase music.
Yeah.
Because the score of this Halloween movie in particular, there's some bright spots in the whole franchise, but in this movie in particular is so good.
It's John Carpenter. It's going to be good.
Basically, rule of thumb, if John Carpenter's name is on the soundtrack album, it's good.
Yeah.
But that's where you get a bum. 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 Yeah. Because, and while I'm talking about the soundtrack, I'll talk about why the soundtrack is the way it is. Originally, on the first screening of this movie to test audience, it did not go well.
Oh.
They did not like it.
Oh.
They were not scared.
Oh.
Because the score, I'm not sure if there was no score at all, or if it was just a very generic kind of score that they used. But basically, this score none of the score existed.
Wow.
In the original screening of this movie. So John basically just ran through and made it in record time.
Wow.
And the score is probably the main reason that this movie is as effective, whether anyone realizes it or not.
Yeah.
It adds that sting to those spooky moments, adds that suspense to those suspenseful moments.
And it's an anxiety-inducing score.
It is. Lots of just hum tones and piano stings and good stuff. It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
And so Laurie, she has the longest run of all time across the street.
Yeah.
Screaming for help. And I do she goes up to a neighbor and starts pounding on the door, and they turn the lights on and look, and then turn them off, and then turn the patio light off.
Yeah.
And they do a fun twist on that in 2018. We'll get to it. And so she then gets back to the house she's babysitting for, and Tommy's been so worried about the boogeyman all night, but when his babysitter's outside crying bloody murder, he just comes up with scratching eyes like, what? He's like, open the door! And
she
he's like,
threw a potted plant up there to try to wake him up.
He just goes, okay. And
I no joke though, even if I was screaming at the door and like trying to get you to wake up, you would probably wake up like that.
Okay.
Just because you're just dead to the world, basically.
Yeah, fair enough. But she gets inside.
I'd be screwed.
But unfortunately, one of the windows was already open.
Yeah.
So Michael's in there somewhere. But she pulls the most amazing 360 I've ever seen. Because Michael pops out from behind the couch and she has a sewing needle and she just goes, whacka! And like, just gets him in the neck. And he falls over and she thinks he's dead. So she goes upstairs and gets Lindsay and Tommy and is like, okay, I need you guys to go across the street and call the police.
Yeah.
It's like, was that the boogeyman? It's like, I killed him. It's like, you can't kill the... And in the meantime, you can see Michael literally in the background walking up the stairs.
Yes, it's so effective.
And Tommy says, you can't kill the boogeyman. And then turn around and he's just standing there like, hey. So the kids, they get away.
Yeah.
But Laurie goes and hides in a closet. And this scene is also, there's so many iconic scenes. It's an iconic movie.
It's just that movie.
Michael finds the closet she's hiding in and starts, it's one of those, I don't know what you'd call it. One of those closets.
It's a French door.
French door with like the little things.
Yeah.
You know, where windows would be.
Yeah.
He starts punching them out. And I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but he like swipes the light switch thing string. Man, I don't know my technical names for things, I guess. I called it a light switch string thing.
I don't know my fruits.
And she unwinds a coat hanger and pokes him in the eye with it.
Yeah.
And then he drops his knife and she stabs him in the chest and he falls back. And I just love this next bit.
Well, I just want to talk about the setup for that for 1 second, because she tells the kids to go run and hide in a closet.
Yeah.
Then she opens the balcony doors to the room, and then she hides herself in another closet. So she really did set it up.
She tried to make it look like she jumped out the window, basically.
Yes. And she's so smart. But
Didn't
Michael,
work out for her, but it was smart.
But Michael is a Diogen.
Yeah, so he knows.
He always knows where you're hiding.
But I love when she's sitting on the doorway. Meanwhile, the kids run outside screaming bloody murder.
Yeah, when she stabs him in the chest and he's down, she tells the kids, "Hey, go over to these neighbors and tell them to call the police."
And Dr. Loomis sees them running out.
Because she must know what parents didn't go to the town Halloween party, because everybody's parents are gone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Literally everybody's parents are gone because
for the night.
For the night. Because Totalie's boyfriend, or no, not Totalie's boyfriend, Annie's boyfriend was gonna come over because he was supposed to be grounded, but his parents were leaving for the night. So I'm just saying, every person is going to this town Halloween party or something, because no parents are home.
Nope, not at all.
That's why, like, throughout the night, like, of things happening, I feel like that's why no one notices, because no adults are in their homes this night.
Yeah, pretty much. But
which sucks for trick or treating.
And the ones that are just don't even bother to help.
Yeah.
So,
they must be new to town.
But Laurie is sitting against the door, like taking a breather, essentially. And I love in the background, Michael sits up like the fucking Undertaker, and then the bum. And then he just kind of goes, and that's the thing I like about Michael, is that he just singular focus.
Yeah.
You know, he is like a shark. You know.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of slowly walking behind her. Like he's right up behind her by the time that she starts moving.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts strangling her. And there's something about strangulation noises in old movies that kind of scared me for some reason. But and now I'm like, they're kind of funny. Like the
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if she got a stab in or something, but she got a little separation, and then Loomis shoots him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she got his mask off. Duh.
Yeah.
And we see his face for a brief second.
Yeah.
And then Loomis shoots him 6 times. I'll never forget the number because in the beginning of Halloween 2, it's a lot of Dr. Loomis running around going, I shot him 6 times. I shot him. He's not human. I shot him 6 times. I swear they ADR'd him saying I shot him 6 times one time and used it all over the movie. But it shoots him 6 times and he falls off the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
And then Laurie asks, was it the boogeyman? And he says, as a matter of fact, it was. And then he looks over the balcony and Michael's gone. And then we get shots just all over Haddonfield with the breathing. And it's a perfect ending.
Mm-hmm.
A perfect ending. And then they made another one. But that's Halloween.
Yeah.
It's a classic. You should watch it. That's all I have to say. How many oh no. I thought I had one. How many Lonnie, get your ass away from there out of 10 would you get?
I'll give it 9. Lonnie, get away from there's out of 10.
Fair. This enters my 10 echelon. This is a 10 movie. In my opinion. Any movie that I have at one point called my favorite horror movie is automatically a 10.
Mm-hmm.
So this was at one point my favorite horror movie. So that's Halloween.
Halloween, man.
I think we have a little time for a little Q&A. What do you think? I didn't get it open, so please distract the people by telling them to go to JumperScape.com and look at all of our stuff.
Yeah, check us out on JumperScape.com. All of our stuff's there. You can find our other podcasts and our Discord links on there too, isn't there?
All of our links.
All of our links are there. Everything.
Patreon.
Yeah, that.
I'm struggling.
I'm also struggling.
Where is it? Okay. The Spooky Slipstream would like to know, are we going to try the Krabby Patty meal? No. I'm not paying for a Dave single and sadness.
Because it's just a Dave single meal, right?
With, like, Krabby Patty sauce is what they're calling it.
What is it?
I don't know.
Well, I think we have to get it to try the Krabby Patty sauce.
I've heard some people say it tastes like Big Mac sauce.
Oh, shocker.
It's because it's the only other burger sauce I can think of is a orange Big Mac Thousand Island like sauce.
Yeah.
Ray would like to know, what are you going as for Halloween this year and any Halloween plans?
You'll find out what I'm going as for Halloween.
We will post pictures in the
Tomorrow.
server. Tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Next week, I mean.
Tomorrow?
Next week.
Yes.
What I meant.
So not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. I meant to say next episode, but my brain said tomorrow. I don't know.
Ooh, are we wearing our costumes for the next Halloween?
For Halloween.
I didn't pick up on this.
You're the one who told me we were doing it.
I did?
Yeah.
Whoopsie. You will find out on Halloween.
Yeah. And then we do have Halloween plans. We're going to a party.
Going to a party. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We'll post pictures.
Yeah.
What is the least scary movie that you have watched? So we're saying supposed to be scary.
Supposed to be scary, but wasn't very scary.
I would say if I had to pick one, This is going to be a weird poll. It's a movie called The Prodigy. I went to see it because the kid who played Georgie was playing an evil kid, and I thought that was going to be fun.
Oh.
And I just felt gross, and it wasn't good, and it didn't scare me.
I feel like a lot of movies don't really quite scare me anymore. Like, I don't find this movie particularly scary. But that, I mean, I think I'm just overexposed at this point. So nothing's very scary. And if it doesn't have gore, I'm not going to go, ugh. I'm trying to think, what's the last one that we watched that, like, kind of kept me up at night? Shoot, we watched it for this.
Smile?
Yeah, Smile actually kind of freaked me out a little bit.
So you answered the opposite of the question.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
That's why I'm saying pick a movie that you thought was gonna scare you and disappointed you because it didn't scare you.
Huh. Maybe Friday.
Friday?
Yeah, I think Friday.
That's fair. I'm going to also say, because of how overhyped its fear factor was, Longlegs. I was very disappointed. Nick Cage was Nick Cage, and that was fun, but yeah. So actually, yeah, one more question.
Yeah, let's do one more.
Do you think Terrifier is actually good, or is it just because of shock value? I think it's fully because of shock value, but that's fine.
So we just watched Terrifier.
Yes, that's why I decided to do one more.
Yeah. Personally, does it look like a good movie?
No.
No. But is it an enjoyable watch? Yes. Not just because of the gore. And, like, you can tell when there's passion behind a project. And Terrifier, you can just, like, it's oozing in passion. Not only, what's his name? Who plays Art?
David Howard Thornton.
Yeah, David Howard Thornton, like, obviously has a passion for that character. Obviously has a passion for doing that. He's amazing in it. He brings so much energy into the film. And whoever was the effects person, also, I pray they got a job out of that movie.
I'm not gonna lie. Let me fact check this. I think Damien Leone, the director, did the effects.
Because they were great.
Because I'm pretty sure he did everything.
The makeup.
Let me see for sure so I don't.
The makeup, and I'm not saying all the effects. Like, if you're a low budget, if you're balling on a budget, you're not going to have great blood spurt effects. And that was obvious. But, like,
Phil Falcone and Damien Leone.
Okay.
So Damien Leone was the special effects makeup, like, head. He was the director.
Okay.
He also wrote, produced, and directed the movie.
Oh my God.
And edited.
Oh my God.
Yes.
No wonder it feels like a passion project.
It's his baby. It's his baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same with Terrifier. Here's the thing. Studios were lining up to make Terrifier 2 happen. But none of them wanted it to be as
gory,
gross and gory and bad, poor taste as Terrifier is.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to bend the knee at all, so he crowdfunded Terrifier 2.
Wow.
And Terrifier 2 made a lot of money for the budget.
Yeah.
And so Terrifier 3 was obviously a breeze to make, which I have not seen yet. So no spoilers.
Yeah, we haven't seen Terrifier 3. I haven't seen Terrifier 2, but
or maybe watch that tonight.
Maybe. But I did really actually enjoy watching that movie. I think it was the passion behind it. The makeup it opens up on this makeup that is so good. And it was a great movie. I actually can't wait to cover Terrifier movies because I actually really enjoyed the watch.
And here's the thing. We could cover them soon, or we could wait till next Halloween because they are Halloween movies.
We'll have to see.
Except for Terrifier 3, it's a Christmas one.
That's amazing.
I know. I'm excited.
Art with a freaking Santa Claus hat on.
Yep,
sounds perfect.
That's. I'm pretty sure that's on the cover.
Like, just like they had to be like, what would art look like with a Santa Claus hat on? And then they were like, why don't we make a movie about that?
Good question. Well, anyway, that's Halloween.
Yeah.
Make sure to come in next week when we cover the Blumhouse Halloween trilogy.
Yeah.
Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. Thank you very much for stepping in to room 237. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us this evening, stranger. If you enjoyed your time with us, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/JumperScape or join the community at discord.gg/JumperScape. We thank you for your listenership and hope you enjoyed.